much, Wasim. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So before we start, I would like to quickly introduce myself. So I am Aziza. I am the project manager of Innov'i, a project that is supported by the European Union through Expertise France as part of Innov'i EU for Innovation project, and it is operated by Tunisian startups. So today I'm very glad to be here at AfricArena North Africa Summit for the first time in Tunisia, and also very glad to have such a great panel. So please let me introduce you our three panelists for today. I will start with Madame Douja Gharbi, who holds many titles. One of them is being the co-founder of Red Start Tunisia, which is an accelerator for startups. And also, she co-founded the first Tunisian women business angel network in Tunisia, which is Damia. She has other titles, but for today, she will represent mainly Damia and Red Start. And then we will have Mrs. Houdé Rossi. Also, she holds many titles. One of them is being the co-founder of Open Startup Tunisia, and now maybe it's more of Open Startup International, I guess. We will discuss about it later. And also, she's managing the program BRAIN, and maybe I will let them after introduce themselves even more. And last but not least, we will have with us Moheb, who is representing an Egyptian startup called the MN League, an insurtech startup, right? So thank you so much for joining us. And today we will speak about the importance of building bridges within the North African ecosystem. So maybe we will kickstart with the first question to better understand how it's happening today when it comes to bridges. So today, can we talk about synergies and connection within the North African ecosystem? I'd like to hear each one of you on this topic. So maybe, Douja, can we start with you? It's not working. I will give you my mic. Great.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you today with the AfricArena conference. Thank you, Aziza, for the introduction. Yes, we say more so. Yes, I have more than 20 years of experience in entrepreneurship, and I came finally to the acceleration services because in the same time I launched companies, but also I was working a lot with United Nations from the beginning, from 50 years ago, on coaching of entrepreneurs, accompaniment, access to finance and access to market. And I was like, I wanted to put all my network, all my knowledge, and what all my experience in to help Tunisian entrepreneurs to go forward. And this is how I came to launch Red Start Tunisia. Thank you for the question. Yes, it's very important to be connected because I was talking about access to finance and access to market, and this are the main, let's say, issues or challenges of entrepreneurs and startups. So, and we are in the very small country, so we need to expand and to go internationally. And I think as a member of the ecosystem and as an SSO, we need to be connected to outside Tunisia to help our entrepreneurs to go internationally and to grow and at least to export and to have like clients, and we will come to the cross-border investment we are looking for, but it's not easy, you know, that it's something we have to work on it and to construct trust between investors and to give more confidence to push them to invest in our countries, because when I talk with investors, they say yes, we are actually even business angels. Yes, we are looking in our country for a good project, and we are not still ready to go forward. So we know we need to work on that, and we need to make awareness that opportunity is there, because when they invest in a startup in Tunisia, they are like themselves a bridge for them to go international. So connection between all the actors dealing with access to finance and access to market is very important. So actually with Let's Start, we have partners, co-founders in France, at Paris, and they are working with, we are working together, like to let them support entrepreneurs, Tunisian entrepreneurs who want to go to Europe, and we try to help European or French entrepreneurs who want to come to Tunisia and to Africa. So this is very important. I have also other connection, particularly we are talking about North Africa here. So we are, I have a partner in Morocco, a partner in Algeria, and we are together trying to connect entrepreneurs and to let them work together and discover the other opportunity in the countries.
Yes, we will talk further about this point, the fact that you, through Red Start, you have connections with and partners with other North African countries. Thank you, Douja. So today, how would you describe the current synergy between the North African ecosystems?
Okay, thank you. So maybe just if we step back for a second and look at North Africa. Most countries, so if you take the 5 big ones, starting off with Algeria, then going to Morocco, then Libya, Tunisia, and Egypt. It's 2 million people. 2 million people that have the same language, enter under the same religion. There are differences in culture, clearly, but there are some also trends in their politics that look alike. So there were some bases that could explain synergies. So I'm going to ask a question. How many people in this audience are from Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, or Libya? Can you raise your hands? So for a conference that is supposed to bring along North African people, there is a real question about what are we doing here? Are we doing a conference for Tunisians, again, looking at each other who know each other? So the point is, if we're not able to do that, there are reasons. And the reasons are very simply, look at it. I mean, there are no startups, maybe less than 5, that go in Egypt, Morocco, Libya, from those countries. There are no talent exchange, nothing. You don't have VCs that go a lot across the countries in North Africa. North Africa has less than 10% of the total investment of Africa, 8% to be precise. Half of it or more going exclusively to Egypt. When our countries, we decide to go to Africa, or decide to go international, we raise our head up to Europe or down to sub-Saharan Africa. We never look left or right. What are the reasons for that? Of course, you might tell me political. Of course. Look at what's happening yesterday. The president of Algeria, war declaration in a way. How can we talk about, let's be pragmatic here. It's not working. If you look at other countries, Egypt and Tunisia, Libya and Tunisia, humanitarian type of exchange. We do not see each other as economic business opportunities. We see all the constraints that each country is trying to face, all the hurdles. So why would I go to Algeria? Well, I'm already dealing with all my issues in Tunisia. Why would I go to Libya if I'm already having all my problems there in Algeria? So it's not sexy enough. And in a way, this looks a bit like neighborhood. So the reason there's also the jealousy neighborhood. Who has the biggest car, the nicest wife, the most successful kids? But in reality, who are the ones who exchange? The kids of the neighbors. They are the ones who play in the neighborhood. They do not see why people are disputing and why their parents are not talking to each other. So my real question here is, where are youth in this audience? Because these youth are the ones who are going to make the future. They are the ones who accept to go beyond every political aspect that's not working. And if you look at public policy, it's not going to happen. So as you said, you have to hack the system, yes. So the private sector is the one who's going to make it happen. And to be more precise, the ones who have nothing to lose which are youth. They're courageous, they're brave, they want to chit-chat, they're already TikToking, Instagramming. So for them, going beyond boundaries makes sense. What investment is made to make sure that our youth, who are tomorrow's decision makers, tomorrow's policy makers, tomorrow's central bank deciders, tomorrow's businessmen, what are they doing together today in Tunisia?
This is why Open Startup Tunisia makes a lot of sense in this way. So thank you so much, Hude. Maybe later we will elaborate more about Open Startup Tunisia initiative and how is it contributing today to building bridges within the North African ecosystems. Thank you again. So now I will move to Moheb, representing Egypt. So we have more representation of the North African ecosystems. You are an entrepreneur and you have a startup called Aman Leak, specialized in the InsurTech. So maybe if you could tell us more about your solution, and then maybe I will ask you a question more into building bridges and your intentions to expand maybe in more North African countries. So tell us more about Aman Leak.
Hi everyone, I'm super delighted to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. So what we do basically is, I used to be a traditional insurance broker. I used to sell insurance over cold calls. And we found out, like me and my team, we were insurance brokers, and we found Aman Leak. Only 1% of the Egyptian society was getting insurance from us, the top 1%, and it took them 3 weeks to get their cards and to enroll in the insurance. So it just made sense. But I would have to agree with like Hode and Nauman when they said like the public policy is not going to change, because this is exactly what happened to us. So last year, as insurance brokers, we had access to the insurance companies and the data. So we just put the data online in a comparison tool on the website, not licensed, nothing. And we got approached by the regulator, and it was a big deal. And we almost went to jail, but at the end we got an approval, because there is no like law or something. But we got like a written approval to keep on to tweak the website a little bit. And but we got the blessings. Yeah, so I mean, there are issues, because like we do double taxation right now, because like there is no law. We just got an approval and nobody thought through like how the process would work, but it's working. Yeah.
So could you tell us more about the Egyptian ecosystem, startup ecosystem, in terms maybe let's talk more and more specifically about the investment scene in Egypt. We know that you are more active than Tunisia when it comes to angel investing and active local VCs. So how did that contribute to leverage the growth of Egyptian startups, speaking of Aman Leak and your experience in terms of fundraising?
Yeah, so we always, like in Egypt and Aman Leak, we unfortunately the insurance penetration is less than 1%. So we don't have a lot of insurance technology companies. But we always like look at Kenya or Policy Bazaar in India. They do pretty much what we do, and they're more advanced than us. We've been trying to raise capital. We've raised from a private equity firm in Egypt that has like a VC, and we've raised from an incubator as well. So the incubator was partially sponsored by the Ministry of International Cooperation in Egypt, and the private equity is just a private company. Other than this, we've always, like, I don't know, like, my only issue is like VC. I know we're blessed in Egypt, but like my only issue with like VC funds, very few people are willing to lead around. I have a feeling that there is like a lack of ownership. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but like people are waiting for someone to lead around, and then like everyone else is going to follow. But nobody wants to take the blame for, take the lead to lead around. So I think this is the main issue with us in Egypt.
Thank you, Moheb. So maybe in order to wrap up around the first point we have discussed, so Douja, Houde, and Moheb, how would building bridges within the North African ecosystems could help? To which extent could it help to leverage the growth of the North African startups? according to you? How is it important? Why are we talking today about the importance of building bridges? How could that help?
I think the market size is what makes it happen, but also because the talent exchange, funding exchange, building on best practices. So Eastern Africa has its common market, Western Africa has its common market, why not North Africa? So I think in terms of synergies, the answer is clearly, I mean, it's the only survival, and it's easier than going to the US probably or to Europe normally.
Yes, thank you. Do you want to add something, Gudruja?
Yeah, I think it's the side of the market, because which country alone will is not attractive for international, I mean, other countries. I mean, Europe, when we deal as a group of countries, I mean, as regional, comment dire, yeah, together, I mean, and we are more attractive for Europe, for United States, all the other countries. So attractivity is here. We need to work together and to have like a common offer for international communities.
Maybe develop a brand for the North African ecosystem.
Yes.
Maybe, yes, exactly. So I'm getting back to you, Houday, to ask you more about Open Startup Tunisia. So what was the trigger for you as a Tunisian woman, like to launch Open Startup Tunisia? What was the trigger?
So I'll probably, so the trigger was creating an incubator, which is not a competition anymore, by the way. OST is an incubator, a pre-incubator to be precise, for youth. And I'm sure that many of you are smiling, saying, hey, youth, I'm sure they're not doing anything. So 15 startups have been created by students in Tunisia. 10 of them have been able to raise funds. Many are in international incubators, accelerators in France, in the US. And particularly, they are a great way to create employability, because youth who go through these types of programs, even if they end up failing, they become great employees. The trigger was to create something where students from cross-discipline could work together. But more, tell you the story. When we wanted to go international, we went knocking on the doors of so many countries, and everyone was looking at us saying no. And then we tried to understand, and our Moroccan neighbors were saying, I mean, you're Tunisian, why would you go? I mean, us, Morocco, we can do 10 times better, in a way. So it took us a year. We went to the US and we incorporated in the US. And we changed the narrative. We said, hey, we are an American NGO. We started off to test the pilot in Tunisia, and now we're coming to Morocco, and the gate opened. So this might seem, I mean, this is the reality of our market. So you need to find ways, and it's fine. And now we have great partners in Morocco, very happy, and we are, I mean, we're starting off our activities in Jordan this year. So there are ways. You have to hack the system. You have to understand what are the limits. And essentially, you have to believe that the regional platform is our only way out. You cannot deal with people who are 40 and 50 and 60 years old. You have to prepare those who are 20, 30 years old, because they are the ones who are open the black box. It's easy to go to another country. It's like you have to feel comfortable. And if you give the experience to someone, that someone will create linkages, will have friends, will have soft landing, will call friends in Egypt to say, hey, I'm coming over, and will create business. So the recipe is not that difficult.
So after Morocco, are you thinking of expanding to more North African ecosystems, maybe Algeria?
Of course. We are talking with Libya, we're talking with Algeria, we're starting off and seeing what we can do in Egypt, so absolutely, yes.
Awesome. Great, thank you, Houday. So getting back to Moheb from Aman League. So as an entrepreneur, and in every startup, it's very important to raise funds, etc., and to expand to more countries. So is the North African market exciting to Aman League? Are you thinking about expanding maybe in Tunisia, in other North African countries?
So fintech is a highly regulated industry anywhere. So it would take us, like in Egypt, for example, it took us several months to get an approval. So for us, expansion would mean like applying to a license in the country that we want to expand to, and just wait and see how it works over there. The software itself, like the code itself, it's cross-border. It doesn't care about anything. We have the similar culture and we have the similar base, as Hudi was saying, and pretty much the same laws, I'm sure, because they were all copied from like abroad. You know what I mean? So I don't see why not. But Egypt is such a challenge, and we're facing right now. So until we conquer Egypt, we're gonna look beyond.
Thank you. So, Douja, earlier you talked about the fact that Red Star today has key partnerships with Morocco, Algeria. So could you tell us more about what kind of partnerships are we talking about today, and how do you collaborate?
Okay. I want to say something about what Huda was saying about youth, and at Red Start, I took like 2 years thinking why I will launch an accelerator in Tunisia, and you have a big number of an incubator and accelerator, and I choose to be in the growth part of the let's say the value chain of entrepreneurship, and I take the challenge to work with existing SMEs, because I believe that the innovation piece and the connection with startups and with youth is crucial for them. And I think we can find like Pepite, not very young people, but people who are in business, and they need to make this shift and to change their business model, and to be to try to be in the new business models, and in innovation, and to be connected with youth, startups, and so on. It's very difficult, but it's challenging. But I believe that you have many SMEs and traditional companies who needs to make the shift and to change, and to be aware of how things are going right now. And the connection with Morocco, Algeria, and even some African countries, Senegal, Côte d'Ivoire, I have partners there, is to make all this happen together. And to be frank, is also about market, because you know that Tunisia is very small, but it's very difficult country. We can test, we can prove our MVP and our products in Tunisia, and to be sure that you are to be sure that you are doing something valuable, and then we need to go to other market and to go internationally. This is why I'm working a lot on this connection with other countries, North African and African countries, and of course European, as you have like traditional market is Europe, and we are used to work with them. So the bridges, the construction bridges with other accelerator, incubator, and other structures outside of Tunis is important to help our entrepreneurs to expand and to grow.
Great. Thank you so much, Douja. So maybe now we will talk more about the investment side. Maybe my first question would be about cross-border investment, a big topic, but it would be great maybe to talk about it today during our panel. So do you think, according to you, as an entrepreneur, as a startup support organization and business angel, do you think today is it possible to think about cross-border, to build cross-border investment within the North African ecosystems? Yeah.
Okay. I think for my opinion with the cascade of investor. For Tunisia, it's very early to invest abroad, because we are still learning and still trying to understand what are the new mechanism, innovative mechanism, financial mechanism? Because we are used when you go to the regions in Tunis and you ask about access to finance, they talk about BFM, PME, BTS, and we need to make this awareness and to explain that there is many other financial mechanisms existing that exist, and they are used in the world, everywhere, and we need to make them work, because we have already a business angel network, but they are not very dynamic, and they're still looking for we need pipeline, we need to know how to invest, to learn together, and how to invest together also. So I think it's early to talk about investing abroad for Tunisian business angel. At least I'm speaking about my group and other network we launched last year. But I think that in other ecosystems, where business angels are very, they have the experience, and they are. I'm talking about European or American or the Egyptian also. They used to do that, and today I mean, the world is very open, and people are working outside of their countries very, very simply, and they can invest in companies, but they want to be sure that the startup is able to go abroad and to scale up very quickly, because when they invest, they want to make money, and at least it's not mecena or love money. They want to make money. So we need to have to push to work with our startups and companies to be scalable, and to work really to think outside of Tunis from the beginning, when they start to think about the project, and to let them attractive for investors. And I think it's possible to have investment in Tunisia or in North Africa for investors from outside. And I think we have some of them in Tunisia already. Yeah.
I mean, if you take Flat 6 Labs, that's what they do. The only thing is that they raise funds from their own countries, and that's where the risk is going. If you take AfricInvest, that's what they do. They fundraise from DFIs, and then they invest in different countries. But again, I think that for investors, it's always the same thing. What's the risk? How can I get back my money out of the country? What is the uncertainty around the country? I mean, if you manage...
Regulation.
Yeah, if you manage to mitigate those risks, this can happen. So I don't think the real question is, how can we mitigate risk? How can we make it sexy enough to have investors do it cross regions as per in sub-Saharan Africa?
Maybe I will ask you a more specific question. So when you're raising funds for MN League, do you look to VCs who are established in North African countries, such as, for example, for Morocco, they have outliers, for example. So when you're fundraising, do you think of reaching out to those VCs, or you look more into maybe European VCs or African VCs, I mean, from sub-Saharan Africa?
So I work in insurance, so my mind works statistically. So I always approach 100 investors, and maybe I'll be in serious negotiations with 3 of them. So yeah, I approach investors everywhere. It doesn't matter to me. But recently, right now, we're incorporating outside of Egypt, and this is based on the VC that we're approaching right now. So they won't put money in Egypt, basically. Yeah, but yeah. So probably any cross-border North African investment will happen outside of Africa in general.
Thank you so much, Moheb. So in order to wrap up, before moving to questions, if you have any, so I will ask you maybe what would be your call to action today to build bridges within the North African ecosystem? What would be your, let's do this, what's the call to action? Whenever who can start.
Create the context where people can like each other. It's the only way to collaborate.
Create trust I want to say we need to work on our business environment in Tunisia. We need more facilities.
Great, Moheb, if you want to add anything. I know you're Egypt-oriented for now.
No, I think it's great, like coming here, and I think many more of those events are going to build bridges. So recently, an Egyptian startup acquired a Moroccan startup. So like Maxab acquired Ways to Cap, and this was like the first acquisition that is like North African pure. So and they actually came to know Ways to Cap from YC. So the connection was not made in the region; it was made in Silicon Valley. So yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Douja, Houde, Moheb. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
If you have any questions, feel free. Thank you.
If you have questions, yes. There's always questions.
Hi, I'm Shaima Shawishi. I'm founder of Tela here in Tunisia. My question is, first, because today you talked about maybe we should make a likable environment for each other, but I think that we forgot about the regulations. For each country, it's different from the other. For example, when I went to Libya, it's totally different from Tunisia on how to create a startup, on how the ecosystem is moving. So maybe that we should put a regulation that can unify us, one regulations for the startups that can be I'm in Tunisia, I can move to Libya, to Algeria, or to Morocco very fast without having the constraints of administrative or anything. The second thing is, unfortunately, when you would like to raise funds, investors would ask you not to be in Tunisia. That is a sad fact, that you have to create your startup either in Europe or in the US. So what we can do about this? How we can talk about accelerating Tunisian startups or North African startups while investors do not invest in startups that are their headquarters here in Tunisia or in North Africa.
Excellent. There's a couple of interesting questions. Do you have other questions so they can answer other questions? You want to go to lunch? Okay. Christophe.
On the panel that there are over 10 startups from the region, not from Tunisia. So we are trying with our limited budgets and resources to accommodate. So you have startups from Sudan, from Morocco, from Tunisia that came here. We have people coming from other countries like South Africa. So I think, you know, you can be complaining about it's not enough and so forth, but you know, we have to try harder. But we are trying in a post-COVID world to resume in-person events. So just wanted to say that. And those guys, when you ask the questions, are all busy networking outside with the people that are here. So just wanted to say that.
I'm happy to hear this.
An excellent comment, yes. No other questions, right? So we give them, okay. How'd I go?
So concerning your point, I think that if you want to wait for regional regulation, we'll meet in a century, it's not going to happen. So I think that, unfortunately, you have to find ways. And you find ways and you innovate when you have change makers who together, from the region, decide to find potential solutions. So I personally would recommend to really try to be creative there, because, unfortunately, the regulation is not going to happen. Looking at your point concerning how to invest and how to incorporate, basically, at one point of time, you incorporate outside, it's exactly the same problem. Like Tunisia, for instance, educates doctors at one point of time. When they grow, they go to Europe. I mean, if you do not create the context to make people stay, it's your problem. And this is a big problem that Tunisia is going to be facing in the next decade. Maybe a real set of actions need to be planned to do that. And it is the case. So listening to Egypt, for instance, that needs to incorporate elsewhere, it's a reality. Either we go into a system where North Africa becomes Nigeria, and think about it. I mean, Nigeria managed to create, it's still Nigeria. Poverty rate, uncertainty, violence in the street, and Nigeria is still Nigeria. So there is here real elements related to policy, unfortunately, but you have to make it. You have to find ways to hack the system, and you have to go international, and probably countries such as Algeria, Libya, Tunisia could create platforms that help incorporate outside, as long as the country does not really want to review its politics when it comes to currency and the way we manage it.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. We can